Yep.
Right, good evening. We'll call this meeting of Buckfield Select Board to order for May 21st, 2024 at 6:33 p.m. Old business, none. New business, the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
Second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Bob, aye.
Azalea, aye.
You're right.
Sandra, I.
Thank you. The total on that's 251,484 cents. Town manager update.
All right. I normally don't do these mid-month updates, but I just wanted to keep you all in the loop. I signed the proposal for the municipal center roof. We're scheduled out currently about 4 to 5 months, so it'll be a little bit. So let's hope it's relatively dry. The special town meeting approval proved to be too much because I did hear back about the community buildings grant and it was denied, so we wouldn't have had that money to utilize. As I talked about before the meeting, the ADA ramp at the back of the municipal center, at that point it's currently being repaired. However, it's pretty much done now. It just needs to be painted. The integrity of it was pretty rough. It was missing posts, it was sagging, so that's been taken care of. We've received 2 proposals for our legal services RFP. That's closes on the 24th. I've sent them both to you to review. As I get more, I'll let you know. I attended the MMTCTA annual conference on May 9th. Lots of good presentations. The one that was a key takeaway was the tax acquired property, which I've included a PowerPoint presentation that they did at the conference that you might want to read up on. Basically, it's really it's complicated, the process of disposing, or I don't say disposing of, getting rid of tax acquired properties. It's added a lot of cost to the towns, as well as extended the time frame that it takes to get rid of them. And then obviously any excess funds above our fees, attorney fees and taxes would have to be returned to the previous owner. So I think once we get ready to submit that lien work, we might want to take a look at those properties. This is what was recommended by the attorney, and determine if acquiring those through that foreclosure process makes sense to the town economically. Because you could get into situations where you tax acquire a property for very little tax dollars and you end up paying $10,000 to try and get rid of it. And in that sense, the town's going to have to foot the bill. So, yes.
Without not looking for political dialogue, I was just wondering, did you get the sense that that was an intended outcome of this new law, or this is an unintended outcome?
No, I believe it's unintended. I mean, most of the time, the properties that are being tax acquired, the majority of them are ones that they're the worst in town. You know, the ones that either the owners can't afford to pay the taxes or they've been abandoned. So there's really no intrinsic sale value in it. But unfortunately, the process requires you to list them with a broker, which a lot of these properties, a broker's not going to want to list it. So you have to try to list it with a broker 3 times. At that point, you can sell it for a reasonable cost, but the muddy area is what's reasonable. What I think is reasonable, what you think is reasonable, 2 different things. So really the purpose of this law was to get in front of a Supreme Court decision that said that, hey, you can't take people's property and not compensate them for it, which, I mean, that makes sense. So they were trying to make sure that Maine state law was within the Constitution. So the thing is last year they made these changes to the law, and during this session, they made it even more restrictive. So it's progressively gotten stronger. So it's definitely worth the 10-minute read through and look at the new changes as well as what happened last year and why I really didn't bring much to you as far as getting rid of tax acquired property other than let's offer it back to the previous owners, which you can still do. So in most cases, I would assume the select board would reach out to the or have me reach out to the previous owner and say, hey, you know, this is what's owed. If you can bring it current, we'll deed it back over to you. Hopefully that's all we really ever need to deal with, but I just wanted you all to be aware of what it's looking like, and it's a lot more complicated than it used to be.
Thank you.
I said April 20th. I meant May 20th. Vivian, Vicky, and myself all met and we took a look at the FEMA workbooks for the December storm. Two of them are just about wrapped up. I'm just waiting on a couple of invoices. That's the emergency protective measures and the debris removal. Those will be taken care of and done with. The two that will take a little bit longer, it's Parks and Rec, as well as roads and culverts. The Parks and Rec one, I don't think will take very long. I got to order a batting cage and we got to replace that section of fence and the dugout over at Bessie Field. But we have 18 months to do that one. The roads and culverts is the tricky one because there's a culvert on Darnett Road over near Bob's house that is it's monitored by the state for fish, and it's going to require permitting, and I anticipate they're going to want something more than a 4-foot culvert that we have in there right now. So I'm waiting on some estimates from FEMA because once I submitted or I signed off on their site visits, they'll do like a RNS. I don't really know what RNS means, but basically it's like a cost estimate of what they anticipate it would cost to replace. I have asked questions about, well, what if the state says we can't put that back in, and you're saying this is all we can get? I'm still waiting for more clarification in that, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. No pun intended. I did receive an email from the state about the bridge and the stream crossing grants. Those were increased to 200,000. So if we get to that point, that may be something we need to explore over there as well, similar to what we did on Troop Road. Absentee ballots are available at the town office. There's a lot of ballots. You got the town ballot for the budget. You've got the selectmen ballot. You've got the school board referendum ballot, and then it's also the congressional primary. So I think Brittany's got it figured out on how she's gonna pre-stack the ballots for the ballot clerks, but people still have to say Republican, Democrat, or unenrolled. I do want to reiterate, and I did in here, you have to be unenrolled, Republican, or Democrat in order to be able to vote in the primary. Being registered as a green independent doesn't mean you're an independent in the sense of this law. So those are the only three that can vote in that primary on that ballot. You can still vote on all the other ones though. I just want to get it out there because that first election that they did this, it was a mess. Good talking point. So I've already been talking about the RSU budget increase, which it finally landed at 11.15%, the proposed. There is the annual budget meeting for the RSU is on May 29th at 6:30 at Mountain Valley High School. I would highly recommend anybody that wants to participate in that process. This is the last opportunity to have some say on what's going to be proposed to the towns. We have the highest increase in the RSU. It's not the RSU's fault. It's just the factor from our state valuation and student enrollment. But I think an 11.15% increase is huge for us, especially when we have a budget that is a net, it's flat. But to make things even more frustrating, I also received the county warrant, and that's a 15.7% increase, which is an additional $30,000. Last year's budget was 160. This year it's going to be 190 and some change. That's pretty big too, especially considering we know the struggles that Oxford County is having with deputies and coverage, but we don't have any say in that one, so it is what it is. I have been working with Hartford and Sumner to execute memorandum of understandings agreements for motor vehicles, because I know I have had people come in, why aren't you open on Mondays? I wish we were open a day on the weekend. There's only 3 of us. I'm not going to open 6 days a week. It just doesn't make sense. So Hartford has hours on Saturday from 10 to 1. Our residents can now go there and register vehicles on Saturdays. We're closed on Mondays. Hartford's open on Mondays, 10 to 5. We're open on Tuesdays. Hartford's not. So Hartford residents can come here and register their vehicles between 9 and 8. And I'm still waiting to hear back from Sumner, but basically I'm trying to make it easier for the residents of Hartford, Sumner, and Buckfield to be able to do stuff and also help each town so that we're all scratching each other's backs and making it easier for our residents.
So this is current, people are able to do this, or you're working to make it so people.
Sumner, I'm currently working on. Hartford, I have a signed agreement. We're good. As of May 16th,
Residents of
can go to,
Hartford Town Office
Mhm.
on Saturdays and Mondays.
yep. Or any day of the week that we close at 4, they're open till 5, so they could go that last hour.
So they can go to Hartford to register motor vehicle.
Correct.
That's one piece of business.
They do need to, people need to be aware they do need to bring their old registration because they have to manually enter that information into their system and vice versa. So if you're going to another town office, technically, if you're coming to our town office, you have to bring your registration as well, but that's just something that Leanne asked me to specify was bring your old registration.
Thank you.
No worries. Already went through that, went through that. Went through that. The only thing I didn't add to this was I received the insurance proposal this year, or for this coming year, and the proposed budget, I think, was a 20% increase. It was like $500 more than my 20% increase, so there will be a little bit of a shortfall if that passes. But I'm sure we could utilize the emergency contingency for it, but we knew it was coming. It's going up everywhere, and with the claims that we had.
Right.
It was bound to happen. Everybody was seeing double-digit increases. I think the school did too. As far as department head reports, Stacy emailed me. She was having issues with Wi-Fi out in Woodstock, Greenwood, somewhere out there. So she couldn't get it over to me. She had it completed. But fire has been fighting a structure fire today, so I wasn't able to follow up with them. I did include the library one. If anybody wants to read it, it's in there. Yeah, and then I included the PowerPoint for that tax acquired property law. Any questions?
It's EMS week.
Oh yeah, happy EMS week. Thank you for all you do. Oh. And Aiden Lowe got his EMT license. So we have another EMT.
To go, Aiden.
These are four minutes of minutes to budget. Currently release,
I'd say so.
and then. School and benefits.
Any property tax increases are gonna be the result of the RSU and county. It's not from local taxes, or it's not as a result of the local budget. Unless you built a huge garage or something and your valuation went up.
You haven't got what the monetary value is, that 11.5%.
190, it's 190,000 before you factor in adult education. So if you take the adult education, it's like $205,000, which is it's roughly at the current mill rate, it's like $1.20 increase in taxes per thousand. And then you add the other 30,000 from county. You're well over, $1.50 more in taxes without us changing anything.
Thank you.
Again, to reiterate, I think that the municipal budget as proposed does not require any funds to be raised through taxation. Additional
Correct.
funds be raised through taxation.
All right, thank you. Approval of the minutes. 2024 select board meeting. Get 'em. So I have a question whether or not anything's even being heard on. Oh, I see a little green. Okay. We'll go with that. Okay.
I will make a motion that we approve the minutes of the May 7th, 2024 select board meeting.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Bob, aye?
Celia, aye. Aye.
Peter, I.
I will abstain, I was not here.
Yes. Election clerk appointment.
I will make a motion that we appoint Cammy Warren to the position of election clerk.
Any discussion? All in favor, Bob, aye?
Celia, aye.
Peter, I.
Sandra, I.
Thank you, Tammy. Yeah. Other business.
Schedule workshop. Them.
Where's it? The EOT. Yeah.
She said any time at 6, right? Any time after 6.
Okay. So say.
It's the week before.
Yeah. Okay.
How long do we anticipate that meeting?
It's gonna have to be kind of an ongoing workshop. I think. Trying to develop a EOP, emergency operating plan for the town.
Do you have any luck?
So it'll be kind of scare reading.
Yes.
Nice.
That makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the emergency operating plan to bring everybody up to speed. Just needs to be reviewed in its entirety and. So that if you move forward, just getting all the information in there. I checked online looking for. A program that where you can just plug in the information pretty much, but I didn't find anything. I think that's probably the program we want you to.
Manually go through it,
Yeah. So it's kind of a process, so.
but the idea is to get an electronic version of this. Instead of this binder that we have, that's got papers flying everywhere.
Could we determine that we will spend time on this directly following the next select board meeting?
Yeah.
Be agreeable with that. Yeah.
So June 4th.
Is that correct, Cameron?
June 4th will be the next, yeah, not the 11th, that's voting day.
Yes, that works, we can do it to the meeting on the 4th, who's in favor of that? Can you vote? Or should we just add it to the agenda?
Well,
To be just add
there's just a workshop after the. Right,
Yeah, so
it's all part of the
Oh, right.
meeting, and
It's
it's
a
a workshop.
It's not the workshops, it's a discussion during the meeting. Yeah.
Right.
I will make a motion that we schedule a EMA workshop. On June 4th, following the select board meeting.
I will second that.
Any discussion? All in favor, Bob, aye.
Celia, aye. Aye.
Peter, I.
Sandra, I.
Thank you.
I
Yes,
would like to add a couple things to the agenda for the next select board meeting. Discussion about public restroom facilities. And then I was thinking to pick one item from the in progress items. To begin discussion, I was thinking perhaps building permit fee schedule review. Would that be appropriate to do? Prior to, because we can. if the board felt that changes needed to be made, those changes could be made by the select board, correct?
So,
So that's not contingent upon the vote on, that's what I,
or existing ordinance specifies that, and we want those two, how we're going to end up. So that.
I was just thinking that might be the next in progress item to tackle. So would you add those
Yeah.
to the agenda for, thank you very much.
Boards. Any other business? Online. So there's no need for executive session. So. I'll make a motion that we adjourn and. 6:54.
Sorry, anybody?
No.
Okay, just want to make sure we give people the opportunity for public comment. Okay. Excuse me for interrupting.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn. 6:54 p.m.
I will second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Say aye.
Peter, aye.
Sandra, I.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Sure.
Share, guys.
Here.
Right. Give me your.